Hello and welcome to the Scribblative. This series is Curriculum Connections, where we discuss current events and tie it to concepts in the AP curriculum in order for you to better understand it and pass the exam. Today's episode, we're going to discuss Gamestop, Congress, the SEC. No, not that SEC. Yeah, that SEC. And the super important iron triangles. But don't worry, we're not going to do any geometry, mainly because math is stupid and pointless. You may be asking yourself, why should I trust this guy? Well, I have seen over 3 Heimler videos. That's right. So, now that I've earned your trust, let's dive in. GameStop is a video game retail store, adored by everyone because you can purchase a $60 game and then a few days later trade it back in for 27 cents. When COVID hit and destroyed the American economy, much like David Benioff and D.B. Weiss destroyed Game of Thrones, these hedge fund managers placed a bet that GameStop would fail. This is where things get interesting, because a bunch of neckbeards on Reddit's a social media site that's sort of a safe space for internet nerds, decided to get together and drive the stock price up, forcing all these fancy Wall Street guys to lose money. Well, the idea caught fire, much like King's Landing caught fire after Daenerys Targaryen went insane in Season 8. So, GameStop stock started to soar. Jesus Christ, I should get an award for alliteration after that one. So it's at this point that congresswomen to Congress people, humans in Congress, started to take notice. Now that we've got the background, let's connect it to the curriculum. The first topic that we're going to look at in the CED is 2.12, the bureaucracy. Now, the learning objective, as you can see, is to explain how the bureaucracy carries out the responsibilities of the federal government. And the essential knowledge is that tasks performed by departments, agencies, commissions, and government corporations are represented by writing and enforcing regulations, issuing fines, testifying before Congress, and also that they participate in issue networks and iron triangles. You can see each part of this essential knowledge in the GameStop example. Now, the CED lists the FCC as an illustrative example, but just like the FCC, the SEC is a regulatory agency. It was established in 1934 after the stock market crash of 1929, and its mission is to protect investors, maintaining fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and facilitating capital formation. What's important to understand for AP government is that Congress delegates authority to bureaucratic agencies, in this example, the Securities and Exchange Commission. They then have discretion, due to their expertise, to carry out that framework put into place by Congress's legislation. So, the 2 important D's to understand here is 1, delegation, and 2, discretion. Discretion simply means the freedom to decide what should be done in a particular situation. So, as you can see here, there's many different regulations that the Securities and Exchange Commission has. And if I just scroll through here, you can see how much power they have in rule making and just how many rules they have. But the other factor is enforcement. Exactly how they are going to enforce the rules that they make. Okay, now that we're done with the boring bureaucracy, before we continue, let's hear a word from our sponsors. Dogs. Because we're better than humans. If you would like a dog, please visit your local animal shelter. Benefits include unconditional love. We now return to our regularly scheduled program. Normally, stories involving the SEC would never make headlines, but because internet meme lords who normally spend all day in their mother's basement making cat memes and getting upset because their Hot Pocket is overcooked have made millions of dollars. Meanwhile, hedge fund billionaires who own New York sports teams are losing billions of dollars. All of this has created a phenomenon in which the news of GameStop, AMC, and certain other companies whose stocks have had wild fluctuating rides have become the talk of not only America, but the entire world. Headlines are constant. All of this has caught the attention of congressmen. And if you look at topic 2.2, you'll see that both chambers in Congress, whether it's the House or the Senate, rely on committees to conduct hearings. Now, this is what's going to happen pretty soon. As you see, we have the Democratic Congresswoman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, tweeting about this news story, specifically about the trading app Robinhood and their decision to block retail investors from purchasing stock. Now, these tweets were also liked by Ted Cruz, who is a Republican senator. Now, as you see here, AOC is a member of the Financial Services Committee in the House, and she is supporting a hearing. Another person who's supporting hearings is Elizabeth Warren, who's on the Banking Committee of the Senate. She sent a letter to the acting chair of the SEC with not only her comments and concerns, but also a series of questions. These questions will have to be responded to, and there will definitely be hearings within the Senate's Banking Committee. Because of these hearings, you have companies like Robinhood who deal in trades of the stock market, as well as investment firms and the companies themselves who are hiring more lobbyists in order to prepare for the congressional hearings, as well as put pressure on congressmen and the bureaucracy to see things the way they want it to be seen. This lobbying from Robinhood, as well as other investment firms, and perhaps the companies themselves, is reflected in the CED in 5.6, as they are conducting lobbying to try to get the regulation from the SEC or non-regulation, as well as the type of legislation they want. But these brokerage firms and other investment firms will be competing with other interest groups trying to protect retail investors, that is, the average person, and their rights when it comes to the stock market. And so you have these different factions competing, and perhaps, hopefully, there will be a compromise reached. And that is the type of process that Madison alludes to in Federalist number 10. So this represents the third vertice of the Iron Triangle, or what's sometimes called issue networks. You have congressional committees, you have the interest groups or the lobbyists that are representing certain interests, and you have the bureaucracy, in this case, the SEC, which is a regulatory agency. Good God, this is way harder than I thought it would be. Okay, let's summarize what we have learned. First of all, the 2 Ds. Congress delegates authority to the bureaucracy by creating broad legislation. Bureaucracies then have discretion to implement that legislation, since they are the ones with expertise. Second, dogs are better than humans. 3. The media operates as a linkage institution, linking people to the government. One of the reasons why congressmen were so aware of this GameStop issue is because of the media coverage surrounding it. Next, we talked about congressional structure and the fact that there's different committees that deal with different issues. Next, we talked about Iron Triangle or issue networks. Remember, those committees, the bureaucracy, in this case the SEC, and interest groups representing either the average day individual, hedge funds, brokerage firms, or other investment firms all interact with each other. Next, we talked about those competing factions. So you have the brokerage firms, the companies themselves, the retail investors, all competing for attention with the policy-making institutions, either the bureaucracy or Congress. And finally, since I spent about way too long doing this, I learned, and I'm telling you, that YouTube is hard. And that's it. I'm going to eat some boiled crawfish and take a nap. If you enjoyed this at all, or just want to take pity on me, please like, subscribe, leave any comments, below on how I can improve these videos. This was my first one. If you have any questions, comment below. I will stick all the sources that I used for this in the description, and you have a great rest of your day.